What is doing YouTube? This girl W.7 coming live and direct from my kitchen on a Sunday morning. I'm waiting on my children to get home so they can eat breakfast. So I decided to make a couple videos. Okay. So I made a video maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, something like that, about a year ago, called The Definition of Religion or something like that, where I was beefing with this guy on YouTube because, he's still on YouTube talking about me and stalking people. I don't know if he's doing it now. Hopefully he stopped. But he didn't agree with things I was doing and it pissed him off. And, I felt like he was trying to force me or scare me back into the church. But I had a problem with religion. So he was like, I'm not religious. It's not about religion. I was like, yeah, it is. It's religious. So I read the definition of religion in Wikipedia. And, I took the video down because I didn't want to be fighting anybody on YouTube. And I still don't. But I came across these definitions the other day. I'm going to try to repeat them by heart. In this book about near-death experiences that I'm reading. It's a big encyclopedia book of near-death experiences. All type of analytical processes of near-death experiences, right? Okay. So they were saying spirituality is has its basis in a personal relationship with the Creator, possibly through direct revelation, with a respect and a recognition of all of the sacredness of all living things. They were saying that religion was a systemized set standard or dogma with emphasis on community involvement and upstanding moral behavior. So basically, they were saying spirituality is about a direct relationship with God, and it could come through divine inspiration or, inside, outside of church, which, you could be in church and be spiritual, which is why I agree with that. And I also believe that you could be out of church and be religious, and I'm going to tell you why. You can be in church and be spiritual because it's about a direct personal relationship with God. Now, as far as a direct revelation, people, they fuck with they messes with their Holy Spirit, and their Holy Spirit tell them things how you think the preacher gets their sermons. So, it is about direct revelation sometimes, but the difference is in church that direct revelation is based off of biblical teachings with their own interpretation of your own personalized message. And honoring the sacredness of all living things, I don't know about all that. I think that it's hard to do within the constraints of religion. And the reason why is because the emphasis is not there on honoring a bug or a tree. It's not there from what I've seen in Christianity, 30-something years that I've been going to church. I haven't seen that honoring of all sacred living things. Not only that, to honor another person is sacred. I don't think that's there. So that aspect of that definition of spirituality is not there. But so you could be religious, having that set standards or dogma, that systemized set standard, and be spiritual at the same time. I do agree with that. But as long as your set standard and dogma comes from a church institution, you are religious. As long as it comes from the set standard based on biblical teachings, you are religious. Which, I'm religious to an extent because some of my standards are based on biblical teaching. I would say I'm a religious spiritual person. And I'm gonna say why. Because even though I don't go to church, I found a systematic set standard that I instilled for myself. When I didn't have a systemized set standard, in my spiritual path, I did feel like I had no structure. So I made my own. Mine is just different from the one that was taught. And it's, you know, pulled from a lot of different aspects of existence just for my own personal spiritual growth. But I needed a system. So, and for that reason, I am religious. Not only that, but you could say that, you know, I love the camaraderie of church, which is probably the only thing that I really, really miss about church is the camaraderie and the atmosphere. And I don't necessarily seek that out in spirituality, but I do love YouTube. I do love YouTube for its free influx of knowledge on things of the spiritual matter and its ability to connect souls together. I love that because my spiritual sister's story, I would have never met her if I would have never gotten on YouTube and came across her. And, you know, we both kind of was like, we know the same thing. How do you know that? How do you know that? You know? So I do love it for that. So that sense of acceptance and one with another person, I love that. I tend to like it better on YouTube because I'm able to connect with Masons and 5%ers and atheists and witches and all different types of people in the spectrum, not just spiritual people. And I really couldn't do that in the confines of the church because they tell you not to do that, you know. And I'm able to connect with different things. See, the church is like the structure is too boxed in for myself. For myself, it was just too boxed in. It was too many I can't do's that I wanted to do that I felt wasn't nothing wrong with me doing. And I don't like that feeling of eliteness. You know, it does come with the ability of westernized religions to not put an emphasis on paying attention to the processes of the ego, like the Eastern philosophies do, Buddhism and things of that nature. And for that reason is the reason why the church is so corrupt. Because there's a lot of egos clashing, boom, 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 boom. And even though you can have all the knowledge of God and the wisdom of God and the love of God in your heart, your ego, your mind is still kind of overclouding your spirit. Which, you know, if you can incorporate both of those, it would be wonderful. Because I do see the benefits to religious doctrine as well, because for somebody who don't like that feeling that I felt when I got out of church, that feeling that I don't know where I'm going, that wilderness experience, that wandering around, the children of Israel wandering around in the wilderness for 40 years that didn't have no damn sense of direction. For people who don't like that feeling, they have somewhere that is set up for them, you know, to be. So religion is good in that aspect. That it's a structure set up for people who I find that black people are lazy. Spiritually lazy. I'm sorry. I know it's a stereotype, but most black people are spiritually lazy. They will go to church and think that's enough. Listen to what the preacher's saying and be like, okay, I got my little piece of God. I got my little knowledge. I prayed. I sang. I feel better. I feel close to God, and go the fuck back home and do the same fucked up shit that they did because they're not getting knowledge for themselves and not getting an understanding for themselves. And it's a lot of questions. When you start to question, you probably will find out there's more questions than answers. You know, it's just, you know, it doesn't, I'm not going to even go into what church teaches and what church don't teach because it's irrelevant at this point. But I have seen things where, you know, I know the reason why it is now. And I didn't know the reason why. I didn't like that lower vibration of all the negativity due to egos in church. And I had to get away from that. But, you know, I realized what it was now. And I'm like, oh, okay, now recognizing it and accepting it is putting me in a place of peace. Whereas, you know, I can If somebody don't agree with what I'm doing, I can love them anyway. Peace be unto you. Peace all day long be unto you. I'm not going to dispute you, but some things, y'all, be pissing me off. And even some things in spiritual existence that becomes religious dogma pisses me off too. Because to me, it's no different than church. To me, it's no different than religion. You got your own set of systemized sets of standards, but instead of it being based on a biblical teaching, it's based on other knowledge. But it's the same kind of, you have to think this way. I choose to think this way, but I don't feel like anybody has to think this way. I choose to make videos just in case somebody's interested in it, but I don't feel like I'm trying to convert the whole world. You do what you do. But I don't like that. I don't like that. That's one of the few things that pisses me off. When I see people of a spiritual nature, of a more freeing, outside of the box of religion nature, take their box and make that a religion. Now they preaching the gospel of spirituality. They preaching the gospel of consciousness. They're preaching this, it's supposed to be locked in, it's supposed to be this way, and basically my way is right and other people's is wrong. Why can't we just say this way is right for me and that way might be right for you? I think once individuals begin to accept each other as individuals, they'll begin to embrace each other as one. First, you have to see the individuality in everybody. Another one of those contradictions. Paradoxes. Paradoxes. I need to write down the laws of paradoxes. There's always a contradiction in the midst of a truth. Always. And if you can find it, it's a truth. Just like the Bible is false, but it's truth. Yeah, it's always a contradiction. I realize that. That's why I don't have such a problem with the Bible anymore. I realize that in the midst of truth, you'll find a contradiction. Human beings have to realize the individualness, if that's a word, in each other in order to begin to accept each other as one unified portion of God's creation. How can you do that? You have to realize that everybody is different to realize that everybody's the same. It just is. It just is. And a lot of times the reason why after, you ask the question, why is it a contradiction? Why do you have to do it that way? It just is. It's just part of the all that there is. It just is. You have to see that everybody has a different path leading to the same place. You have to respect other people's paths. It's like a big never-ending forest of all these winding roads. And these people walking through this forest of all these roads. Paths cross. People see the same scenery. But each person is on a unique path due to their own perspectives and their own perception of what they view outside of their eyeballs. What is in their field of vision. What it bombards their senses determines their own individual characteristics, and the knowledge that they might receive might not be. Some people's knowledge is misguided. For instance, I'm pretty sure that Bin Laden thought he was doing the world a favor. He thought that due to his Muslim doctrine, that was what he was supposed to be doing. His knowledge might be misguided from my standard, but that was the knowledge that he was received. And some people are born into that knowledge. You can't say that they're worse than you. They're just different. You could have been born in. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. It ain't your doing that you got to be and the parents that you had and the upbringing that you had. You ain't had no control over that. So for somebody to feel like they better than somebody else because they were born into money or they were born white or they were born they were born this, they were born. I know I'm getting off the subject of religion versus spirituality, but I'm rambling this morning. Y'all just gonna have to bear with me. For somebody to think that because they were born, I was born into money, I was born into the Illuminati, I was born into Freemasonry, my daddy was a Black Panther, or my daddy was a 5%er, that they have an entitlement. What's wrong with the generation nowadays is their sense of entitlement. That ain't your fault. That ain't your doing. What happened to humbleness? What happened to humbleness of knowing that just because I'm spiritual and you religious, that you not no better than me and I'm not no better than you? And a lot of times, like I said, it intertwines within itself based on the definitions that you give it. See, that's what happens when you put labels on things. You get put boxes get created. I ain't nothing. You know, I call myself spiritual for lack of the label of somebody else perceiving me, but I don't perceive myself as spiritual. I perceive myself as I just am. I am that I am. I just am. This is just what it is. This is, you know, this is my little piece of what I like. I like spiritual knowledge. I like knowledge of different things in this illusion. I'm through rambling because I'm going to make another video about a different subject because it's all flowing out. Y'all know that when it gets in my head, I got to start spewing it out like vomit, like Lady Gaga. All right, y'all. Peace, love, and harmony. And I hope that this is my little portion of the universe that I'm putting out there, and I hope that it does some good.